Well, the homeboy Hussars will be looking to make the most of their home draw against fellow Group B strugglers, the Mexico Guerreros. Thomas Jablonski will be leading the team out at middleweight. The Mexicans, meanwhile, will be looking to veteran boxer Juan Romero at light welterweight to give them some much-needed punch. Well, tonight, the B-table laggers, Poland and Mexico, face off. And to start the action at light flyweight, David Jagodzinski took on Joselito Velasquez Altamirano. Well, both fighters took it to the wire with a gutsy performance, but in the end, Jagodzinski lost out to better hands. Win 1 to the Guerreros. Out next at bantamweight, Sylvester Kozlowski met Brian Alexis Gonzalez Morales. Kozlowski came to do business here tonight. And for Kozlowski, well, it played out like a Rocky movie. Kozlowski took some shots, but in the end he took the win. And Gonzalez Morales was outgunned. Win 1 to the Hussars.
Of Mexico, here.
Well, at light welterweight, Damian Kivior was up against it when he came against Juan Romero. And a WSB CV was a dominant factor here. That was an outstanding element of this match, but unperturbed by the reputation that preceded it. The veteran Juan Romero found that a defiant Damian Kivior, who I have renamed the Kevlar Kid, who put in a performance here that was absolutely stunning, meant that Romero snatched defeat from the jaws of victory. Win 2 for the Polish Hussars.
The red corner, Damian
Well, at middleweight, Thomas Jablonski came out against Henry Jose Saavedra Pinto. Focused and on point. A masterclass of boxing, as demonstrated by Polish team captain Thomas Jablonski. Overwhelmed and nearly taken out, Pinto was outpointed across the 5. Did well to stay the course, really. But in the end, it was win 3. And team captain Jablonski put on the decider for the Hussars.
6 centimeters tall. He is a 7-time.
Well, at heavyweight, Krzysztof Kowalski met Christian Demay. So, an Albanian fighter representing the Mexican Guerreros was always going to be an awkward proposition. Not just on paper, but as it turned out, in the ring. And right from the start, Demay worked the angles and burgled a win here.
Seconds out.
I have to say that over the 5, Kowalski did nothing wrong here, but he didn't do enough right. A surprise decision, but nevertheless a win in favour of Christian Demay and the Mexican Guerreros.
The blue corner, Christian Demay.
Well, a win, but it wouldn't make a difference because it was 3-2 to the Hussars.
For the Hussars Poland. We hope you've enjoyed the action.
Week 9 on the WSB brings the reigning champions, the Astana Arlans Kazakhstan, to the house of the Cuba Domadores in Havana. the Ciudad Deportiva for more action from the World Series of Boxing as the two superpowers in Group B prepare to go head-to-head with the season playoffs looming in the none-too-distant future. Well, in bout one, a light flyweight contest between Yozbani Vetia and Termitas Zushipov. It was an interesting contest, and it was pretty much team orders for the Arlans. Coach Kozienski saying, come forward, keep attacking. And before we knew it, Vetia had a real fight on his hands, but that's when the Cuban class started to come through. And in the end, managing to come away with the points decision, but it wasn't through lack of effort from Zushipov. So Cuba getting off to the perfect start. The next fight out at bantamweight, well, Baghdad Alimbekov was the big hope for the Arlans this evening, but he was up against the rangy Forestal, who made his 1m75 height advantage count. Kept Alimbekov pretty much at distance for the whole of this fight, and Alimbekov just couldn't get to his man. And as the fight moved on, Forestal able to put together some very nice combinations, some ferocious punching in the end from the Cuban. And that produced another points decision in favour of Cuba to make it 2-0 on the evening. Next out, another debutant for Kazakhstan. Ruslan Madiev would have his work cut out against Yaznir Toledo. And Toledo, once again, took time to settle into this fight. Madiev refused to stop coming forward. But Toledo, with some really accurate work, managing to pick his man off. Madiev just didn't get through on enough occasions to convince the judges about his work. And it was Toledo that made it the win on the evening. So despite anything that Kazakhstan could do for the rest of the day, it was going to go the way of the Cuba Domadores. So a 3-0 lead as Yarek Aljanov came to the ring against this man. Ramon Luis, world ranked number 2 in his debut season, as all the Cuban boxers are this year with their debut seasons just climbing up the rankings. But Aljanov, once again, following the team orders. It was attack, attack, front foot all the time. And just be prepared to be picked off. And then, as we moved through the bout, things started to get very tasty indeed. Both men managing to land some decent shots. A little nick opened up just above the right eye of Ramon Luis. And in round 4, that was to prove decisive. And as the fight progressed, that cut, that mark above Ramon Luis's eye got worse, and then a clash of heads meant that both men got cut. And the doctor advising the referee to call a halt. It was a pretty nasty injury to Ramon Luis, but because both men were marked, the points stood, and Ramon Luis making it 4-0 to Cuba, but a concern about the rest of his season with that cut. The final man out then in the heavyweight contest for both countries, Arabek Abduganiev for Kazakhstan, just outclassed in this one against the world number 1, Erislandi Savon, who really did look the part. A little frustrating for the Domadores man because he just couldn't put this one away, despite some great shots. And Abduganiev did very well to take this one through 3 rounds. Looks like he was going to step out for the 4th, but his coach said no, that's enough punishment for this evening. And Erislandi Savon picking up his 5th win of a very impressive season indeed. And the Cuba Domadores march on. 5-0 victory on the evening. The Domadores here in Havana managed to tame the wolves of Kazakhstan.
Astana Arlans Kazakhstan.
Week 9, Series 4 of the World Series of Boxing pitted the USA knockouts against Team Germany in an absolutely vital crunch match in Group A. They were separated by 2 points coming into the contest, with Germany in third, the USA in fourth. And don't forget, fourth place had to be achieved by both sides. We were going from the flyweight division through to the super heavyweight division. We started off with Sean Simpson against Hamza Tuba. It was, to be fair, a pretty scrappy affair. Both lads tried exceptionally hard. But moments like this led to a public warning against Tuba in round 4, which cost him a valuable point. And it happened half a dozen times throughout the bout. Ultimately, Simpson was declared the winner to get the Americans off to a great start. In the 60-kilogram lightweight division, Luis Diaz had a free punching affair against the very talented Artur Brill, representing Team Germany. The tall Diaz punched nicely, he punched crisply, and sadly for Brill, who you'd have expected to have won, simply couldn't get himself into the contest. It was a pretty close thing at the end, but the Germans sadly had to live with a defeat. Second win on the spin for the American lightweight. A welterweight in the 69-kilogram division, Gabriel Maestra. Well, he had a real close fight against Arayik Vitaly Marutian, Venezuelan representing the United States, but Marutian got a count in the second round. Ultimately, it didn't make a difference on the scorecards, but of course it did to the confidence of Maestra. Both lads went at each other, hammer and tongs, but at the end, Maestra was declared a worthy winner. Well, looking to bring back a bit of national pride. Serge Michel winning against Sumit Sangwan of India, representing the United States. But Sangwan hit the floor in the first round. Michel looking for his fourth win under the World Series of Boxing when tearing after Sangwan. And the referee stopped the contest in the second round to give the Americans the 3-2 overall win. And of course the Germans picked up a walkover because the super heavyweights didn't show. So cracking nice boxing from Miami as ever.
Though both teams are comfortably through to the playoffs, tonight a game of two halves. For one team, a tactic of resting the first-team boxers for some epic battles that may lay ahead and allow the younger, less experienced boxers to gain some valuable time on the canvas. Well, that's exactly what Team Russia are doing. The Azerbaijan Baku Fires, however, seem unable to resist the temptation and run out some of their better athletes. They couldn't run the risk of losing at home in a derby match. That's not going to go down with the home crowd. Well, first out at light flyweight, Kamzat Namatov met Bator Sagaluev. Evenly matched over the 5. Cat and mouse game. Namatov started strong, but Sagaluev quickly worked out the name of the game, and the judges were split. But even a cut eye in the 5th, the Russian couldn't find enough, and the Fires notched up their first win. At bantamweight, Magomed Gurbanov met Nikita Fedorenchenko. And a no-nonsense approach of meat and two veg. That kind of boxing gave Gurbanov, the Azeri, his only chance to nail down the dancing Fedorenchenko. Well, it went to 5, and the Azeri took it to the Russian. Well, the Russian did nothing wrong, but he didn't do enough of it. And that meant 2 on the board for the Fires. Gaibatullah Gadjalayev met Maxim Dardashev at light welterweight. Ranked at number 3 and a crowd pleaser in Azerbaijan, Gadjalayev on paper, well, would have taken the smart money all day. Problem was, no one told Dardashev, who sucked Gadjalayev into a super brawl. Well, the result caused a shockwave through the arena as unbelievably, Gadjalayev got properly mugged here by some joined up boxing. A bad day in the office for the Azeri. 2-1, the Russians back in the game.
Russian boxing. Maxim Dardashev, blue corner. Please welcome from Russia.
Well, at middleweight, Mikolai Vesialu met Petar Kamakov. And another shock here, as Peter Kamakov outboxed and outworked Vesialu. And making note that he's only lost out to Devrenchenko. Well, tonight, a tough and gritty performance from the Russian, who is smart and talented. And he's one to watch going forward. 2 apiece. And that closes things tightly going into the last bout. At heavyweight, Abdulkadir Abdullayev took on Alexei Egorov. 2-2 going into the heavies, with a team win resting on this bout and a desperately needed win for Abdullayev. Well, this bout can only be described as the hurt locker. Both boxers dished it out like a footballer's wife in a handbag store. Someone had to win, and it was Abdullayev by a whisker. But this reporter has to say, there was no loser. Pain, pain, and more pain. But across the 5, the bad boys took the win, but only just. Well, a night of thrills and spills, and a lot of fun, some shock upsets, but some good boxing in between.
The Algeria Baku Fires Olympic Stadium was the venue for Week 9 action as the Desert Hawks played host to Argentina Condors. Both teams looking for a win to keep their playoff hopes alive from Group A. And it was all about what the 5 boxers were able to do on the night. Algeria fielding debutant Mohamed Tama for the first fight in the flyweight category, and he was up against the far more experienced Fernando Martinez, and in the end that experience paid as Martinez was able to deliver some resounding blows, culminating in one that Tama just couldn't recover from. It was a technical knockout, a standing count of 8. The referee deciding enough was enough, and the first bout went the way of the visitors. Martinez confirmed technical knockout in the second round, and not a good start for Algeria. In the second bout, in the lightweight category, Algeria put out Reda Banbaz, who'd only fought once previously and he'd lost. And that was in week 7. He was up against Brian Ivan Nunes with 4 fights under his belt already. But that made no difference at all to Banbaz, who was buoyed on by the fans. He actually had Nunes down on the canvas 3 times. But according to the referee, not by fair means. That didn't stop Banbaz, though, as he carried on plying his trade. And he was taking round after round. In the end, after 5 rounds, he was confirmed victor. 50-44, 50-45, 50-45. Algeria had levelled. Onto the welterweight category. And it was Algeria's Sofiane Tabi up against Juan Jose Velasco for the Condors. This one, again, was one of those bouts very evenly contested. Velasco not with the same amount of flair as Tabi. And it was Tabi who began to impress the judges. It was another fight that would go to the 5th round. Indeed, it went the distance, and in the end, there was victory for Sofiane Tabi to end his 3-0 losing streak. 49-46, 49-46, 50-45, and Algeria leading 2-1. Next up, in the light heavyweight category, there was a debutant for Argentina, Patricio Pito, up against Hicham Kalor. Kalor with a height and a reach advantage, and he began to make that pay. Kalor, who had boxed twice previously on the WSB and had lost both encounters, was in no mood to make it 3 in a row as he set about delivering blow after blow against Pito, who had no response. A little bit of showboating as well from Kalor, which delighted the fans. And despite Pito's best efforts, it was Hicham Kalor who was in control from the word go. In the end, despite being taken all the way, it was confirmed that Hicham Kalor was victorious. 50-46, 50-47, 50-47. Hicham Kalor delighted because that was his debut win, and Algeria now with a 3-1 lead meant they had the points in the bag. Argentina trying to finish on a high and fighting for pride. Algeria in the super heavyweight division put out new boy Hamza Begurni, and he started very brightly against the much more experienced Facundo Cesar Giglioni. And really did take the fight to Giglioni. Giglioni suffering a nosebleed and also a wound to the forehead, which had to be looked at. In the end, though, Giglioni outlasted Begurni to take the bag. 47-47, the closest yet. But in the end, though, it was Algeria who took the match 3-2.
Good evening and welcome to the Palaconsiga in Gela on the island of Sicily for week 9 of the World Series of Boxing. And it's Group A for you, the clash of the titans between Dolce & Gabbana Italia Thunder against Ukraine Ottomans. And your match commentator Richard Whittle. Well, as I was saying, the battle for top spots here with the Ottomans currently in first place on 19 points ahead of the Thunder, who have 17 points. Scoring in this round, just trying to afford to stay out of the way, but getting caught there twice. Zoom every time that Elliott got inside there. He's kept his man at arm's length now. And the last 10 seconds again with the left. Scoring shots, especially that left jab through the guard. He's just walking out of the way of the punches. He loses a complete control. He's giving the Sicilian public an exhibition here of Welsh class. It's a red corner. It's Andrew Selby. It's got Dolce & Gabbana Italia Thunder off to a winning start in emphatic style. Second white lightweight, 60 kilo. Robson Conchensau against Pavlo Muschenko. It's a raucous start here. And certainly the Muschenko coming out, but he's caught with the left. Conchensau doesn't like to be ruffled.
Il gancio, hai capito? Con la primera mano.
He has really got to chase Conchensau now. Caught there with the right. Staggered away. Stunned for a moment. It's a red corner again. Robson Conchensau puts Dolce & Gabbana Italia Thunder 2-0 up against Ukraine Ottomans. Such a quick mover as well. You see there, staying out of trouble. And again with the right.
Di colpire andando avanti, portando, schivando con la testa andando avanti, o a destra o a sinistra.
And the uppercut, and then the clip round the side of the head. That is world class from Manja Capri. Reacts to the left, and quick jabs with the right through the guard, and then comes forward, and then really turns it on. Tonight, Manja Capri is the man who brings Thunder their century. It's a red corner again. 3 reds in a row. Vincenzo Manja Capri back to winning ways. Move quickly on this light heavyweight division. Chabla just staying out of harm's way. Going downstairs. Out in the corner here, has to take a couple of shots. Can't get away from there. More in the corner in here that he had to take a couple of shots. Gasping for breath here. And Chabla again with the combination. The left, a wonderful left, really stunned his man. In the third round, he was a spent force. Really, and he is now. He's really struggling here. He could go down. He stays up somehow. It's a red corner again. 4 in a row for the Thunder. They roll on to a victory here. Clavicle caught again. From Easter with the left, and the big left, and he's really taking this to clavicle. He's having to cover up, but he's taking a lot of shots, and he's taking a lot of body blows. Excellent start from Easter. And again, have a look at this cut. A lot of blood there. You can see. We'll let this go on. He's going to have to stop it. Red corner once more, 5 in a row. Easter was well ahead before the bout was stopped due to that cut. We'll just have a quick recap of the final score. 5-0. All down the left-hand side. Victories for each of the 5 Italia Thunder boxers.